Danny Flexen for Seconds Out, delighted to be joined by light heavyweight contender Liam Conroy. Liam, how have you been getting on? We haven't seen you since the Andre Sterling fight last December now. How have you managed to keep things going, ticking over during lockdown?
Well, it's been hard work. It has been a weird training camp, but I've been, when I was off work, when we were all off work and no gyms were open or anything, I was doing just like kettlebell workouts and bag work on my drive. It's like proper old school, doing some bag on my driveway, doing the neighbour's head in, but doing loads of running and stuff. And then as soon as the gyms got back open, it's been pretty normal. Bit harder to get sparring in at first, but we're pretty normal now.
We've had the semi-final lineup for a while now. Of course, you've got Serge Michel. Before we talk about him specifically, how happy were you that you don't have to go out to Latvia?
I was prepared to go, but no, I'm pretty happy that I don't have to travel. It's just like an inconvenience, if anything, just like having to travel over there and everything. I wouldn't have been bothered about going to a hostile environment or anything like that. I'd have quite liked to have seen Latvia and seen what it was like and experience boxing over there, but it's just a lot easier to plan for when you're training and stuff, being in this country and stuff. And I could tell Burton was quite annoyed by it, so yeah. I was quite happy about
that. Looking at that though, I mean, if the fight was over here, the other semi-final, Burton probably would have been a healthy favourite. Do you think it levels the playing field a little bit that he's having to travel?
No, not really. I still fancy Burton to win that pretty handily. I don't think he's going to be faced too much, really. I don't know what the conditions are like over Latvia, but I imagine it's probably going to be behind closed doors too, so it's not like it's going to have a big hostile crowd to compete with or anything. Burton's experienced some boxing on TV and stuff. But it'll just be a bit of a pain in the arse for him having to travel over there. He didn't look happy.
And let's look at your semi-final. Serge Michel beat Tommy Philbin in the quarter-final. It's an interesting one because Philbin hadn't been at light heavyweight for long. We know him more as a super middleweight. Won clearly, but didn't put him away, even though he had the advantage throughout the fight. What did you make of his performance?
I thought it was a good performance. I think Tommy Philbin's a tough kid. I think just because the super middleweight doesn't necessarily mean that he should be looking to put him away too. I think Serge Michaels was a good performance. You can tell he was a classy amateur. His work was very clean, and it was a good performance. But I think I'm bringing a bit more to the table than Tommy Philbin.
Yeah, just a bit. Certainly at light heavyweight as well. I mean, you were English champion. I think the only time you've been beaten clearly at light heavyweight since moving up is Buatsi. And Buatsi, for most people, maybe alongside Anthony Yard, is a world-class performer, not a domestic performer anymore.
Yeah, we don't really know. Serge Michael's been beat off Ryan Ford, who
lost to Buatsi.
Yeah, and Buatsi actually messaged me saying he'd boxed Serge Michael in the amateurs a couple of times and they do a good fight, so he's expecting a good fight between us two and stuff. So it's probably a decent lad. I think a lot of people are thinking I've got the favourable draw, but I think he could be a bit better than we think.
The favourable draw may be in that Burton's a lot of people's favourites and that Botolniks means you don't have to travel. I think you'd have been favoured to beat Botolniks, but obviously you don't have to go over there.
Yeah, which is nice. I get to just do a couple of hours in the car rather than a plane and go to Latvia. I don't know what Latvia's like as a place. I was actually searching the weather forecast and stuff before the draw, but it didn't look like it was very nice weather either. So
at least you were well prepared if it had happened. What sort of fight do you expect between you and Serge? Do you think it'll be quite technical because he was a good amateur? He has got those skills. You have too. You can fight effectively on the front foot and the back foot. What sort of fight do you expect it to be?
I think it'll be quite a technical fight. But against Philbin, there were times where he was getting drawn in. I don't think he'll look to do that with me. I think he will look to try and keep it as clean as possible because I think if it does end up a barnstormer of a fight, I think I'm the only winner there.
And you had a great performance, I thought, in your quarterfinal against Andre Sterling, probably the best out of the 4 quarterfinalists, even taking into account, obviously, Botolniks coming out and smashing Stephen Ward in the first round, which no one expected. But in terms of a
No.
consummate performance over a number of rounds, I thought you looked really good. What did you make of your own performance against Sterling?
Thank you. I thought it was a good performance because I think Sterling will trouble a lot of people at light heavyweight. He's quite an awkward, very physical customer. And I think that was the first time I'd been 10 rounds fully as well. All my other fights scheduled for 10 have been stopped, either me stopping them or being stopped. So it was good to get that under the belt. But I was quite proud of myself because it took quite a lot of concentration to stay focused through that fight. I think a lot of people would have got a bit ragged and maybe lost the temper in that Sterling fight and let it change the game plan. But I stuck to the game plan and kept myself pretty focused. So it's good having that in the bank.
Talking about keeping focused, the next one's obviously going to be behind closed doors, no fans in attendance. Does that help you to focus, or is that going to be a bit of a distraction because it's an unfamiliar environment?
I think it would help, if anything. I think it would help you stick to your game plan. You're not going to feel the atmosphere and feed off it and let that drag you in like I have in the past, fed off the atmosphere of the crowd and ended up in a bit of a tear up. I don't think it'll help that, but it will feel very sterile and it will feel very strange. But it's not too foreign because we do a lot of sparring and all sparring. But I don't think I need a crowd there to perform. It's just going to be very different.
And if all goes well, looking ahead to a potential final, because you've already said you fancy Hosea to win in Latvia fairly handily, how do you go about preparing for him? Is it easy to find people with his dimensions and his skill set for sparring, for example?
No, it's probably not going to be very easy. I think Burton will have a lot of preparation in sparring and boxing people in my type of height and everything. I've probably not experienced having to prepare someone as tall as him. Probably not sparred as many people as tall as him. So I'll have to change more of my game than he'll have to change of his. That's saying we're both going to get there. Obviously, we've both got big fights to win first. But yeah, I think for Burton, he doesn't have to change his style too much for none of us. Whereas for us, depending on who we draw on, would have had to have changed up the game plan quite a lot. So it's quite interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's an advantage, I guess, for him. Although you could probably get some cruisers in, even though they'll be a lot bigger.
Yeah.
You know, they'll have that height and reach, perhaps. But he's got quite a unique, awkward style as well. I think it was interesting he got paired with Bob Agisafe so early on because they're quite similar in that respect.
Yeah.
But Jose is just a bit bigger.
Both chat stand off and box each other, and I think Burton's obviously very effective at doing that. So yeah, it'll be at least in the final have a lot longer to prepare you. You know your opponent is for a lot longer, rather than for the quarters and the semis. You kind of bearing in mind that you might have got Burton or Radjasaf, but you might have got Sterling or Serge Michel or someone like. You have to be a lot more well-rounded and try and vary your sparring a lot at least. If I get the final Burton, at least I'm going to be able to focus totally on one style.
And what about the Golden Contract tournament in general? What do you think it's done for your career? Because you were doing pretty well domestic level. You had the fight with Buatsi, obviously, that was on TV. People have seen it. English title previously. But the Golden Contract is a big thing behind it. It's been on Sky Sports. Do you think it's done a lot for your career?
Yeah, I do. I think it was massive for my career because obviously I lost to Buatsi and then I lost to Ward. And I don't really know where I'd have been going there. I don't know whether I'd have been going back to English title level or I don't know what. It might have took me a long time to build up again to that type of level, but that opportunity come with the fights that I wanted in it, all televised as well. So yeah, it was massive for my opportunity at that stage. Coming off 2 losses like that, it was. I'm just dead grateful to have got the chance.
Where do you think, if you come through the tournament, I'm causing you to look too far ahead now, we've already gone through to the final, but if you win the whole thing, does that put you in line for a British title shot, or would you feel you're beyond the British title by winning this tournament with the talent involved?
I think well, obviously you're going to be the WBO European champion. It's probably going to put you somewhere close to like a WBO title of some sort. But for me, I'm just dying to get that British title. Like so, with tournament, I'd love to fight for the British title. Whoever's got it by then.
Well, if you do fight Hosea Burton on your way to the Golden Contract crown, it'll be decent enough practice for Shakan Pitters, I suppose.
Yeah. I suppose so.
He's another very tall, rangy operator. What did you watch his British
Yeah.
title fight against Dex Spellman? Sorry, not against Dex Spellman, against Chad Sugden. Got Dex Spellman on the brain.
Yeah, flipped over to it during the Dylan White cards just to watch it because I was interested. It went about the way I thought it would go. To be honest, it looks quite tricky at that range than Shaka Pitters.
And who do you fancy out the three that are kind of in and around? Because you're obviously locked into the tournament at the moment. But you've got Craig Richards, who's expected to get the next shot. Then you've got Dan Aziz, who's the English champion, coming off a win over Sterling. Out of those three, those two and Pitters, who do you think is going to come out on top of that kind of domestic dispute?
Aziz, Pitters, and
Craig Richards.
Craig Richards. I think Pitters, but we've not seen Aziz yet. It'd be interesting to see where Aziz goes. We've not seen him. I didn't see his fight with Sterling, so I've not seen too much of him. But from what I've seen, I'd probably pick Pitters to come out on top of those.
And then the world-class British trio, Buatsi, Yard, Callum Johnson. Who'd you pick out of those three?
They're all very hard picks, these, aren't they? But yeah, Buatsi or Johnson, I don't know. I think it'd be one of them two, but it's a hard pick. Yard's obviously very good as well. I can't make that call. What do you think?
You turned it back on me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think Johnson's active enough. I don't think he's been active enough, and that hurts him a little bit, I think. Like, if someone manages to pull him into the later rounds, I think he's affected by the fact he hasn't been out enough. And then the only one who's had that, they're the only two, him and Yard, who've had that world level experience. Buatsi hasn't had that step up yet either, but he's got a fight coming up, hasn't he? So maybe that will be the big step up.
Yeah, I'm probably quite biased because I've felt what it's like to be in a ring with Buatsi, whereas I've not felt what it's like to be in with Yard. It's all right me looking at Yard and thinking, you could do this, that, and the other, but obviously different when you get in there. But he's got an interesting fight this weekend too.
Yeah, fair point. We'll wait and see what happens. Just before I let you go, we do this every time we interview someone, but just tell people out there how they can find you on social media, keep updated with your career.
I'm on Instagram and Twitter at Liam Conroy 92. That's it.
Great stuff. Well, really appreciate your time, and I look forward to watching you in action in it's about 2 weeks' time, I think, as we speak now, just over 2 weeks, against Serge Michel in the semi-final.
Yeah, thanks very much. Cheers.
Well, best of luck, and speak to you soon.
Nice one.
Cheers, mate. Take care.